Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today. I'll give everyone maybe a minute or so, in case there's any stragglers. All right, I'm just going to type a quick message, make sure everyone can hear me. All right, I did unblock your mics for now, Alexis and Rachel. Can you folks hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining today. Let me turn my camera on to say hello real quick. Hi, how are you? Today we are going to go over GRC and calendar. I'm going to turn my camera off in a moment, but you'll be able to type in questions as they come up. But I'll periodically stop, and we'll have question and answer time. And if we need to apply anything to your specific locations, I'll be sure to take some notes. And if we need to follow up on anything, or if you need some further training, we'll make that happen. So I think it's just going to be a couple of us today, which gives you all of my attention if needed. So let me turn my camera off here. Alrighty, so today we're going to review best practices, tips for getting the most out of your Tripleseat hotel guest room control. So guest room control, also known as GRC, and your events calendar. So we're going to cover the ins and outs of both, how your team can use them separately, together, to help manage your day-to-day room block, private dining requests, scheduling, product ordering, and just generally anticipating needs for internal, external. So let me get right in there. All right, so I'm going to be logged in as myself, and this is on one of our test sites. So some of the booking names, maybe some of the data you see in there may seem a little, off to what you're used to. We have a lot of salespeople in here, but this is one of our test sites. Anybody have any general questions or anything specific, that you'd like to cover before we get started? Okay, let's go after it. So before we get into both the GRC and calendar, I just want to review what your calendar and the GRC is made up of. How those created, what you're looking at, where are those rooms coming from. So I'm going to go down to settings, locations, and edit room details. So this is where we initially go to add in your event spaces. And really what's required is the name. You can put a capacity. You always don't have to. These colors are changeable. So you can customize those to whatever color you like. So if you wanted to sort of group your ballrooms together with a certain color, maybe all green, and you'll see how that comes into play when we go to filtering your calendar. So you want to make sure you have the proper names in there. And if you look down here, I have buyout, room block only. So those are used if they're buying out the whole location. And room block only, that's something some folks use, some don't, because the event calendar isn't showing those room block only. So it's almost a faux room to sort of communicate that. We'll talk about that later too. So this is where we go to get your event spaces in. So settings, locations, and then edit room details. Now also under settings, locations, guest room types. So when we receive your list of rooms and those details, what's required is the name, how many of them you have, and then the rest is optional. So if you have some transient protected, it would set aside those out of your total, your general rate, which is customizable as you go, and your minimal acceptable rate. So that's how we build out all of your different guest rooms. Now, a little further, what's going to affect your GRC, the guest room control, after you have all your guest rooms in there, and this sort of depends on if you're integrated with a PMS system or not. But if we go down to guest room inventory, now this is going to look a little more involved than what it is. But basically, if you have some rooms that you need to take out of the inventory for whatever reason, construction, maybe there's something off the books that you want to block some rooms out, you know that there's just something going on in there, or they're not available, or you need to set some aside for a different sales team, you can go to those specific days, mark specific rates, take them out of the inventory altogether. And if it's something that applied across a whole month, before you go to save it, it will ask you how far do you want to apply that. Another individual setting, or another setting that's for the individual, is going to help you see what you want to see on your calendar at a glance. So if we go to your name or my profile down below, that'll bring it to the same place. And if you just scroll down a bit, you can choose how you want to view your calendar. So booking name, event name, room name, both. And then also the timeline view of the calendar. You can be very specific of how those names pop up. All right, so let's go right into the calendar. We're going to go over there on the left-hand column, and I'm just going to toggle that over, give ourselves some room. So it is important to remember that it's an events calendar. You know, I assume we're both working in hotels. You know, when you're working in hotels, you're going to be working off the booking level a lot. You'll be making general edits from the booking level, but the calendar is going to list those individual events and details, which do lead to a path to the overall booking by clicking through the different pop-up info. And I'm going to show you how to navigate through that. And I think we can always stop to remind, I'm not sure how long you folks have been using Tripleseat, but I always like to remind people of that structure of bookings versus event. You know, one way to look at it is the booking is a box that holds all the events within. And even if it is a single day event, we still create the booking first with that start date and end date, even if it is the same day, and then we add the events within that booking. So let's start navigating. I'm going to go to a couple of months ago, just because I know there's a lot of stuff in there that we can filter through and go through. So first off is your view. So on the top left here, you can go through month view, week view, whatever you prefer or you're used to. I know a lot of people like to work out of the day view, especially if your calendar is just jam-packed. You just need to go day by day. And then the timeline view, this gives you a good overview of all of your event spaces and what you have going on in there. All right, now let's go over to our, oh, and I'm sorry, when you are on those different views, you can always skip from day to day, week to week, or if you're on that month view, you can quickly skip ahead or back. So that's some general navigation. Now, if you want to jump to a certain date, you can do that from here. Choose your year, and you can always just go right back to today. As we go a little over to the right, we can always search by name. So if someone calls you up on the phone, hi, this is so-and-so Jones. We're looking forward to coming in next week. You can go to your calendar, to your GRC, quickly type in their name, pop right over to their event or booking. Now let's talk about some filters. So filters are important. It's important to remember that any filters you do apply are going to remain until you clear them out. And this is for the individual. So if you're not used to already, you will be the colors of those statuses. So at a quick glance, I can look in this calendar and see mostly everything went to tentative and then definite. A lot of these should be closed out. But again, this is a test site. So on your own calendar, if you went back to September and you had all these tentatives and definites, even still some prospects, those should have been moved forward or moved to closed or lost by now. But for training purposes, this works well. So if I wanted to see, all my prospects, and this may be something that you're looking forward a month or two ahead, 3 months, you want to move them to tentative. You're skipping around from month to month, seeing who you need to get a proposal out to or who you need to get a contract out to. And then maybe a little further, you've got a lot of contracts out and they're still in the tentative stage. You want to get them signed. So this is a quick glance of what I have out there for tentative. What do I get to do to move them to definite? And on the other end of that, maybe you only want to see your definites. You're scheduling, your chef's doing some ordering. You need a quick snapshot of what's coming up. How many people are there? And then closed, of course, that means they're done, paid for, and passed. And as I said, these filters remain until you clear them out. So if you always are coming in, maybe based on your position, you need to see what's going to happen, what still needs to be signed, what needs to be verified maybe by another manager. You may just leave those filters on at all times. You're constantly just looking for those prospects and tentatives. But I'm going to clear those out for now. Let's keep going down with the filters. So I had mentioned that you can you can color those rooms to your liking. Now, if I just go to Blue Water North, I can come in and say, I just want to see everything that's in the grand ballroom. Maybe you have a certain staff that works there. Oh, so just one in the ballroom. So, you've got your ballroom staff, or possibly, somebody wants to go into the boardroom for a week straight. And just at a glance, you want to see, what do we have in the boardroom this month? So there's some great applications to this. And as I said before, room block only. If you do want to label a booking room block only, you can give a fake quote unquote room called that. And that would be at a quick glance to see what you have for room blocks only. And as we go down a little further, color by room. If you get used to the room colors, that may mean something to you quickly. Maybe you know that you personally handle all of the purple rooms or whatever that room is called. Same with location. As we go a little further down, the advanced filters. So this really will help you with scheduling, possibly ordering. If you know that you have a guaranteed guest count of everything over 100, you might want to filter those out. Make sure you have the right staff for those. If you're curious of how many documents were created so far, did I create that proposal, BEO, agreement yet? You can filter it by there. So I'm going to clear out those filters. And we're going to go right into navigating the calendar now. Before I do that, any questions or anything you want me to go back to right now? Okay. All right, so let's navigate the calendar. So you can see now, this is called conference meeting. And those are a little generic, but what we're looking for is like the LMR summer outing or the Gonzalez family, Jack and Jill's wedding. So that's what we named the booking. And by naming the booking appropriately and by having your calendar show booking information, you can quickly see these events are associated by the same booking because it's listing that same booking name. So it's really important. There's a lot in the name for all of your team to look at the calendar and to know that everybody's seeing the same thing. Because as I said, this is showing the individual events. Even though they may be associated together, it's going to show each individual. Like your build up annual sales, those are clearly both part of the same booking. We've got an earlier event that morning, part of the same booking. And as you're clicking around, you can get a little more information without having to fully commit. You don't have to jump into the booking. You don't have to edit. If I just click on my LMR summer outing, give it just one click, I can quickly see, okay, that is the LMR booking. It's at my Blue Water Hotel. I've got my contact there. I can see how many guests. And then I can go a little further. As I hover over the booking, I can see that I have multiple events within that booking. And I can jump right into that booking from here if I like. Let me go back to September. Now, as I click on something that has documents already, well, let's see. Let's go ahead and do a little filter. So what do we have for documents? I'm going to go in my advanced filters. I want to see all events that have been included in combined hotel booking documents. So I just filtered that out to show you a quick example. So when you click on that pop-up showing that individual event info, then I can hover over the booking. I thought I had documents on there. Oh, they're right down there at the bottom, sorry. So as we hover over that, I can go right down to the documents and I can go right into their document from here. So if somebody called me up, they want, they lost their contract, oh, you didn't send it to me, or they're waiting on it. I can go right from my calendar, hover over the event, click right in their contract, and there we are. So we'll bring you right to that digital contract. Now let's talk about notes. So day by day, we have this little note tab here. And you can see there's already a few notes there. This has homecoming weekend, no group. So on each day, if you just need to communicate something, you can add a note, but you can also block certain rooms for whatever reason. Again, maybe there's maintenance being done. Maybe there's somebody's using it for storage that week, and you just know that you need to block the room for that day or that week, or maybe every Friday for the next month, you need to block that room because they're having some other internal event there. So notes are very helpful. And then export. So Tripleseat Calendar can export to any of your other working calendars. If you click export in that bottom right, and you can get a lot more detailed info. Let's see, that had more there. But so basically, you're just adding a new calendar to your existing calendar. Now, your existing calendar isn't going to go into Tripleseat, but as you look on maybe your iCal, your Google Calendar, it's going to show those individual events. And if you click on that event, it will bounce you into Tripleseat. So it's very helpful. All right, that is the gist of the calendar, the basics of how it works. Anything we want to go back over, any questions on the calendar, any questions on the filters? All righty, thank you, Genevieve. All right, so we're going to jump into the GRC now. Now, the calendar is great. Calendar shows your events, but for hotel folks, the GRC is very important. It's going to show you a lot of the same info as the calendar, but also going to include guest room. So GRC or guest room control, it can be accessed by going to the left-hand toolbar on your Tripleseat screen. So that's right here. And it's a quick reference for space availability within a date range. See booking statuses within that date range as well, associated room blocks, events and their statuses. So I'm going to go over Oh, let me get this out of my way. So I'm going to go over this top toolbar first, and then we'll talk about all of this down here. Now you can have day view, 3-day view, week view, 2 weeks, month. I'm going to jump into the 2-week view. And similar to the calendar, we can skip back 2 weeks, forward 2 weeks. And then from the screen, you can scroll left and right for the information that you need to see. Oops. And now we look over here on the top right. If you do have multiple locations, you can select to view each individually. And now the options tab. So depending on your operation, depending how you have it set up, if you're new to the location or not, you may not need to look at all of these. These may not need to be on your GRC screen. Like total hotel guest rooms, some of you may know that by heart by now. Group rooms to sell, that could be the same as the hotel guest rooms, so you get rid of one of those. Now right here, we have total guest rooms allocated to sell. That's because we listed some as transient protected. So that's why those numbers are different there. So right down the line, if you're not interested in pickup or closed events or prospects, as you deselect those leave, those get taken out of the little rows there. And I'm going to leave them all on for now because we're going to go over what all those mean. And then down below, and again, we're over here on the options tab towards the top right of the GRC. If you do have multiple locations and you crossbook and you want to show all of that event space, we could show it all down below. We're going to focus just on Blue Water North right now, though. Okay, so it's important to note that if you are integrated with your PMS system, the guest room inventory will talk and match automatically. Otherwise, to keep rooms up to date, you would have to have an internal process of where you check your property management system, come into Tripleseat, and maybe go through the inventory, whether every half day, every day. But if you stick to the designated group sales room, so if you have the rooms in here are what you can sell for group sales, then the numbers will ring true. So you'll just have to really apply your usage here to how you're set up. So let's go over the main screen sections. So up top is going to be your GRC as far as guest rooms. Down below is all your event spaces, very similar to the timeline view. Now these solid lines, these could be dragged up and down. And this is another individual setting per user. So based on your role, you may only need to see guest rooms. You're not so much concerned with the associated events, or vice versa. Or you do need to see both. So whatever works best for you is how you can adjust these. And how you leave it is how it will save when you come in, but you can always bounce around, mess around with it on the fly. So on the guest room section from the top, again, this is going to show total guest rooms. So there's your total number, and you can drop that down and see what you have individually, collapse it. This is what you have allocated to sell. So just to be able to see what exactly you are offering, you can take a glance there. And then we go down of what we have blocked, definite bookings, prospect bookings. And then it's going to show all together and then individually what you have blocked on that date of what guest room type. It's also going to produce for you average daily rates. And that's averaging based on what rates you either had set in there or that you changed them to. But that's what those smaller gray numbers are. And then further down, pickup. It's going to show what's been picked up for each room type you have. And then we get to the bookings that's associated with these. So on this date, we have the marketing team retreat, the New England Association of Kite Enthusiasts annual conference and trade show. That sounds exciting. As I said, people mess around in here a little bit. And then right down the line. So those are all definite. If they were in the prospect on that day, if they were in tentative, those would drop down. Now these bookings, those are links. So if I click there, single click, it's going to give me a little more information. So if somebody calls up looking for availability, or I'm doing some staffing, I just need to see what's going on this week, this month, I can click around without having to leave the screen and say, oh yes, that's my wedding room block and reception. They've got a few events across those 3 days. And if I needed to, I can jump right into one of these events from here, or I can view or edit right into that booking from this screen. All right, so let's go down a little further. So it's always going to, at a quick glance, do I have rooms available? Again, keeping in mind, if you're integrated with a PMS system, this is going to automatically talk. Otherwise, you have to have a good solid system of using Tripleseat as far as, are we really using all those rooms? If we're not using them all, if you have people making reservations out of that same inventory, it's really something you have to keep in mind, because you want to be able to come here to the group available and see exactly what you have. So this tool should be helpful for you as people call on the fly. Maybe the front desk says, we've got a group that wants to come in this weekend, last minute. They're looking for X amount of rooms. So at a glance, you should be able to come here quickly and let them know, yes, we have the availability, send them over to me, or we do not. And then further, as you're looking at these bookings, you want to know what their associated events are, or maybe you need to look and see, all right, I've got the guest room space, but do I have the event space? And that's what's down below here. So you can check by day throughout the day, looking at the hours, if you do in fact have space in the lobby or the ballroom A. And similar to the bookings above, I can click on those to get a quick glance, get a little more information. I can dive into the booking from here. If I want to just view that contact, maybe see, what other bookings have they had? What notes do we have on this person? So maybe before you rebook, you want to see what happened last time. Oh, bounced me out there. I'm going to stick to my 2 weeks. All right, so just some good real life scenarios, again, of how to use your calendar. GRC, someone calls up looking for availability, or, one of your, so somebody calls, they're looking for availability. A lot of times your first step is going to be your calendar, depending what it is. You can generally see quickly what you're looking at for the month. But remember, the GRC is going to give you that snapshot of what's available for rooms during that time. And you can still see the calendar. And even if you're not part of the hotel sales team, maybe you want to know if your events are in fact staying within the hotel, or the other way around. You've got a group block, and as you're talking to them, you may only do hotel sales, but you want to be able to reference, enjoy your dinner, or, we're excited to host your brunch tomorrow. So I feel like we got through everything pretty quickly. I want to jump back to the calendar and just sort of float here for a moment, see if that sparks any questions over GRC reporting. Yes, we can certainly go over some GRC reporting. We'll do that in a moment. Any questions for the calendar before we'll go back to the GRC in a moment? All right. So no calendar questions for the time being. And we did get one from Genevieve about GRC reporting. So everyone on the hotel product automatically has advanced reporting. Now, your standard reporting is fantastic in the sense that it's very customizable. And your advanced reporting is fantastic in a sense where it's a lot more canned. It's more just click, click, and go. So as far as reporting on the GRC or your guest rooms, if you go down to the booking details report, that's where you're going to find a lot of your information. So I can go custom here. I can put in a specific date range. I can group and sort accordingly. And it really depends on what you're looking for. Maybe you want to group it by owner if you're checking sales. You want to group by month, week. And as we get to the columns, this is where you can go through each group and select or deselect what you need to see. So for guest room blocks, maybe we want to know how many blocks, agreed, blocked, forecast, pickup. And we maybe want to see some revenue as well. We also may want to see all the booking names already selected. Let's get the owner in there. So as I select these, they go into my selected column field, and how they're reading top to bottom is how they're going to read left to right, so I can rearrange those. So this is more of a Excel type file that you could export. You could export this as a PDF, and this will give you some information you need. And there's a lot of different ways to filter these reports and group them by owner, group them by location, month. And that's our standard reporting. If I go into our advanced reporting, and I can go either annual GRC or monthly. So the annual is going to show the year broken out by the statuses. And showing all of the different bookings as we go down. So we can see what's in there for agreed, blocked, what's been picked up. And if we look at the monthly GRC, it's going to show just the month. So you can filter out year, month. You can filter by market segment, by location, and by owner. So that'll give you that nice month quick overview. And if you export it into a PDF, that actually is a little more readable as far as if you're running into a meeting or something like that. So that would be your good go-tos for GRC reporting, showing month, day by day, total rooms, revenue, average daily rates, and the bookings that make that up. So those are your GRC go-tos. No, by alphabetical. Oh, on the PDF there. So that's 1020, 1023, 1002. I suppose no. Well, they're all grouped together, but I'm not sure if they're going alphabetical or... Well, that's an excellent question. It doesn't seem like it is by alphabetical order. Let's as we go down. So that's unique room block. These are going down through the different statuses. Conference. It's kind of hard to tell. Numbers E, G, Q. I think they may be alphabetical. Well, I will confirm if they are or not. And if for some reason they're not coming out alphabetical, I'm going to make sure I get that request in to have that option. By date of arrival, all right, noted. So date of arrival, ordered, I suppose that would make the most sense. And I'm going to keep these notes here to see if that's something we could toggle. Because I suppose maybe, especially the larger hotels, if they've got tons of bookings, maybe they want them alphabetical to quickly reference or to look at, to look for Smith or Jones. But by date of arrival, that certainly makes sense too. Just give me one moment. I'm just taking some notes on another screen. I saw that you had another question there. Let me check that out. Also to include the cutoff date. So I think right along these lines. So this is showing the extent of the booking, but I suppose right under there, cutoff date would make sense of where it would be. All right. I will add that to my notes. And, I appreciate the feedback, appreciate the notes, and don't ever hesitate to continue to ask requests, make suggestions, because a lot of our best features have come from Tripleseat users. Date of arrival, cutoff date, and we want to make sure we can see that in chronological order, or at least be able to choose that. So excellent questions, suggestions. Anything else on the GRC or just in general that I can go back to? All righty. Well, if we don't have any other questions or comment suggestions right now, I really appreciate you folks joining me. We're going to be doing these a couple times a month, whether it's another different topics like this or just general new user trainings. So you'll have a lot of options either for yourself or if you have new hires. And if there's some areas that you'd like to just learn more about, or you'd like to see a full half hour, 45 minutes, hour on, don't hesitate to reach out to the support team, your account manager. If you're in the middle of onboarding or still in the process of putting your information into Basecamp, send us those ideas, thoughts, requests, and we'll make sure we'll put together a webinar for you. And this will be sent to you automatically, a recording of it. So after you go through, if you watch it again or pass it along to any of your teammates, if you think I missed something or something you want a little more clarity on, don't hesitate to reach out. All right, folks. Well, I will let you go enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you again. And hopefully I see you on some more webinars. Bye-bye now.